is there a certain location that comes through and you think, can't do that. Can't do that, but Paris again, yeah. It's got a bit of a reputation there, isn't it?
Yeah, I did the Royal Opera House in London a few months ago, and it was fantastic.
Yeah.
And the guys that worked there and the girls, really lovely people. It was an amazing venue, but there was 5 of us that had to go in. So, and it's only one bay, you reverse in, and it goes up in a lift. So only one at a time, and it's behind Covent Garden. So the main thing, I suppose, at a normal venue is that we have parking, or we've got areas, so you'll have the trucks there and you'll get called over. Whereas we're in central London, it's like we don't know, we can't go anywhere to wait, so you end up being called in later. So yeah, central London obviously has its challenges, but it's not impossible.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Talkin Shop. Today we're joined by Truckeroak. We're going to be talking about what it's like to be a young HGV driver in the industry, the challenges that she comes up against, and what it's like to drive in Europe. So stick around for this one, it's a good one. Enjoy the video. Well, obviously, thank you very much for coming down today and coming to the studio and basically telling us about yourself. So feel free, do you want to introduce yourself and tell us who you are, really?
Yeah, I'm Emily. I'm 21. I'm 22 on Saturday, and I am a HGV Class 1 truck driver. Mm-hmm. My job consists of travelling around Europe, mainly for specific artists. So we'll go on tour with the artist for the duration of their UK, Ireland, and European gig dates, and we carry all of their equipment. So anything from, could be wardrobe or the actual stage itself, the lighting, the guide, all of this sort of stuff is what we normally carry. So it can be different all the time.
I suppose, do you ever get this sort of privilege of knowing what's in the trailer, or is it just a case of?
Not necessarily beforehand, but once we have our load, we stick with it for the whole tour. Okay. So when the artist might be doing rehearsals or at the start of the tour, we'll all go to different warehouses and pick up the stuff. Yeah. And that's when we might meet some of the lighting guys or some of the set design people who will then come out on the whole tour with us. And we then, we might chuck the stuff in the trailer to start with. And then when we get to the first gig, we sort of get to know it a bit more and we know how the pack works and how it all fits. Yeah. We do keep it the same.
Yeah,
which is good.
Sure. Yeah, that's absolutely. Yeah, I've seen some of your TikToks and it definitely looks like quite a cool thing to do, really, because no 2 days are the same. You sort of starting somewhere and you could be there one day, there the next. It's not like a set route you're on every day, which I suppose is why you do it, isn't it, really?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's funny, it is sort of very similar setup what we do. I'd say it's definitely a different location every day, but the actual role that we have is always get to a venue, put the stuff in. We typically sleep during the day, or if we've got time, go and explore a bit or just get some shopping. And then they do the show, we put the stuff back in and we go to the next place. So it is repetitive in that sense, but it's always different because the venues are different, different challenges, different people outside, different languages as well. So I think that's, it can be different. Yeah,
I suppose it does have its own challenges. I saw one of them where you were having to sort of uniqueness of the job, I guess. You had to back underground somewhere, was it?
Yes.
And again, it's not just, reversing onto a bay, open the back doors and, it really is a challenge in itself, isn't it? So you've got the amount of driving you're doing, and then when you get there, you're then met with...
Yeah, it's a whole nother task. Yeah. It's sort of, it's 2 separate parts of driving, and everyone says, you sort of ignore all of that part because you're just sitting down and that's the easy bit. But it's then when you get to the venue, and it's an awful lot of organisation as well, because you've got all the actual touring people. So you'll have the production manager, the stage manager, they'll talk to the lead driver and they'll say, right, we want truck 1, which is lighting, and then we want truck 2, which might be catering. Oh, wow. So that then creates challenges sort of for the lead driver to say, and we'll all be on call, or we might be down helping, and then we'll get sent back to the truck to bring it down. So it is a huge operation. That's
it. It's not just you in the truck, it's actually you having to get out the truck and having to literally physically help with tasks as well. Yeah,
we've definitely sort of, is one of the really good things about the company, and I think the industry in general, is you not necessarily get the blame, but if you hit something, you've always got people around you watching. That is the whole point of sort of the other drivers will get out and they'll help get into the venues. And I might be the one driving, but I'll have 6 other drivers that are all 20 years older than me telling me what to do. Yeah. And some people might think it's a cop-out, but I've learned so much just from them telling me how to do it or watching other people and help guide them in. So yeah, you don't have as much pressure, which is good.
No, because I can imagine, I suppose as, people go out for the first time, you having that truck in that bay, it can be quite daunting. But as you say, when you've got people watching around you, if you make a bit of a mess, then someone can get you out of it pretty quickly,
of course.
So I guess that's a really nice part of it. But so you say a lot of driving is done overnight then, you say. So I suppose pros and cons of that, I guess, isn't there? Because you would say overnight roads are quieter. Most of the time.
Typically, yeah.
Typically. But then I guess it is quite difficult to adjust sort of when you're finishing shifts. Yeah, I mean, do you work sort of like set amount of days with days off, or is it literally just all over the...
We obviously all need the sort of 24s and the 45 hour breaks, so that does get accounted for. I think if I was working on general haulage and I was doing night shifts, you do get into a pattern, or any job doing night shifts, and you know what hours you're working, and then you sleep the next day, and you obviously get into that routine. Doing this job, it might be, we might have four tour days in a row, so 4 shows in different cities. So we could do like a day in the city, then overnight, and then another venue, another overnight. So that is okay. That's a lot of the drivers prefer that, because you do get into routine and it's quite nice then. But it's when you go from saying having 2 shows in Berlin and you've got time to reset your body clock and you're sleeping overnight, and then you've got 3 days to get down to Spain or wherever it is. And then you're sort of back to just all over the hours.
Yeah. I can imagine actually one of the perks of the job though is you get to see these cities. And I suppose that's something that a lot of people in the industry won't get to experience, because as you say, they go into these places and then they're straight back on the road again. At least you've got the day then to rest up and then have a bit of a explore. Yeah,
definitely. And I think a lot of people that do European work, it's mainly just sort of warehouse distribution. So you might be near Prague or somewhere, or near Italy, whatever, but you are on the outskirts. Whereas most of the time, especially if it's smaller shows, then we are sometimes like sort of in the heart of the city, and you can get out the truck and a few blocks down and you're in central Barcelona. So that's when it's I suppose a perk of it is being able to explore. It
definitely seems that way. Obviously I'm not saying the job's not difficult or not challenging, but that's a nice part of it to look forward to.
Definitely.
But I suppose actually that expands as well, because typically, I suppose the job, and I've done it as well, I'm not in a truck, but on the road a lot, it's difficult to eat healthy sometimes, difficult to sort of set meals. It's just a motorway services, it's a burger, it's just for convenience. Where I suppose doing it that way around, you get the chance to, you're more active doing the sort of job when you get to site, and actually because you're there for longer, you can sort of afford to sort of look after yourself a little bit more. I guess,
that's true. And I mean, I always try and keep stock in the truck of sort of just fresh stuff. Even if it's make a sandwich, you don't need to buy a sandwich, things like that. So another perk of being closer to cities, or more things going on, is that you can go to supermarkets and you're not stuck in a warehouse on an industrial estate where there's nothing nearby. That's it. And
the closest thing is a fast food restaurant or whatever. Exactly. So no, I totally understand that. But I suppose dialing things right back to the start then. So how did this all come around? Have you worked for anyone previously to this?
Not truck driving, no.
Okay.
No. So I passed November 2022, and then I applied because the job I was doing before this, I was a van driver for Speedy Hire.
Okay.
So I was on and off construction sites, and I loved that. I really enjoyed it. I was just meeting different people, and I liked the physical side of it. Sort of just, here's a machine, or here's a bit of tower. I liked the active style. And then talking to a lot of other drivers that were on the sites, and I said about wanting to go into truck driving, and I was thinking tipper work, and people said, no, don't do tippers. So and then I gravitated more towards like machine haulage, so doing the sort of the big diggers and the low loaders. So when I passed, I applied for a job at Lynch, and I had an interview, and it was a very formal interview, and they said, where do you see yourself in 5 years, and all of those sort of questions. And then they were saying that it's like a pecking order at the company, and me being so young and a new pass, I would have started in a van. I was like, well, I get that, I completely understand that it takes time to work up,
etc.
but it was sort of, I suppose, a little bit of a kick. And And I thought, well, I've just done a couple of years driving vans and I've got this new qualification and I want to
use it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But they didn't actually want me there anyway.
Oh, that's a shame. That's a shame.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's difficult. As you said, you know what you want to do. You've trained so long to be able to do this, to then go back into a van again is quite not demoralising, but it's you want to get the use out of your new licence as well. Really,
it definitely felt like a hierarchy. It's sort of, well, you've not earned your place here. You can't drive the truck.
Yeah.
And it's like, you do need the experience, but maybe it was just a bit too formal.
Yeah, sometimes, I mean, I see this a lot, but to be able to, companies want experience, but to be able to get to experience, you need to be able to have the experience.
It's a catch-22, and people do ask me that all the time. They say, I've tried doing this, and it's the same thing. It's exactly what you said. You need the experience, but you can't get the experience, and you just have to get lucky with a company, and that's all it takes. And other people, only takes one company to actually say, we'll take you on, we'll give you the chance, but it's far and few between, unfortunately.
That's it. Well, obviously the employer with sound like a really good bunch, and
definitely
they've given you the chance to be able to, and you've proved them right.
I hope so. I do feel really fortunate that, again, I just applied. I'd seen the trucks on the road and thought, I don't really even know what they do. I've
seen them in the past and thought, I wonder what they do. I mean, it's pretty obvious I was guessing the name, really, isn't it? But it
still doesn't, it doesn't give much away.
No.
I just emailed them and went for an interview, and I was made aware that the insurance was high, and that there was sort of quite a large excess if I did have an accident.
Yeah. Don't be that person.
And the thing is, I don't drive around normally thinking, what if I have an accident? It's going to cost those money. So it was fine, and I'm really grateful that they did take me on.
It's a massive trust thing, but it's nice to know that there are employers out there still that do that. But what are they like then in terms of obviously your content online? Are they is it a bit of an agreement you've got with them? Are they totally fine with it?
No, not at all. It was the first video I put up was just sort of like on Instagram and Facebook. It was years ago, pretty much as soon as I started, and I just filmed like a really brief, like hitching up to a trailer. Yeah. And I contacted one of the women in the office. I said, is this okay to put up? And she said, yeah, that's great. We'll share it on our page. And I was like, okay, don't need to do that. Fine. It was just sort of more for like my family and stuff. Yeah. And they shared it, and then it was like one of the most viewed videos that they had, and there were so many people sort of positive and negative. But so that was sort of the initial thing. And then it was January this year that I started the TikTok stuff, and I thought, I just, whilst I was on tour, and just put up videos. And it took off. It has taken off a lot more than I expected, and it's sort of just a landslide of it's really blown up. But from their point of view, I think the company are very supportive. Good. As long as I'm everything is positive. It's not slating the company or I hate this job.
I hate them. That really is.
So, and I think a lot of people in the industry as well, in the music industry, like that. There is a light being shone on this part of the world, because it is, and within reason, it is quite secretive. You get a lot of the stuff that's backstage, and you can't show that. You can't show the artists, and that's fair enough. But there is also a lot that goes on that people don't know, and you go watch the show and then you go home again, and people have no idea what it involves and what it takes to actually, that hour and a half of them on stage, all the people that are involved and all the different unique sort of talents and the things involved. So I think it's positive. And
absolutely, it definitely comes across positive, and it's nice that they've got your back, really, and they're promoting it. I suppose so that all come naturally with them. It was never you saying, I want to do TikTok. It was a case of, you did that video, I thought, okay, this is working. And it's grew very fast, to be honest. I looked last night to follow it, and I was thinking, that's huge, really. And you say that was since
I think it was either the end of January, end of February. So only this year.
So that's really good. So only the sky's the limit. But that's good. It's nice to see. And obviously your truck that you're in then, okay, it's obviously not your truck, but is that sort of given to you for as long as you work there, and that nobody else uses it? Or?
No, it might get moved if I've left it sort of in front of a trailer, but that's the keys are left there, and someone will get in and they'll move it. But it's, I can keep stuff in there, and I know if I get sent out on a job, then I've got that unit, I will be using that. I've been in, this is the third one that I've been in since I started, and that's just because the first one I was in was quite old. The second one I've only recently come out of, and that was to come into the left-hand drive.
Okay.
So yeah, you don't tend to get moved around loads, which
is important because it is your office. It's your hotel room. It's your office, and everything else in between. And
yeah, definitely.
It would drive me mad personally to just jump in a truck every day, like a different truck every day, and someone's been in it, it's filthy dirty.
Yeah, you just never know.
Cigarette burns in the seat, whatever. Yeah, so it's nice to know that's your space. You keep it clean and it stays clean. So yeah, no, absolutely. But that's good. So I mean, how do you find then jumping from right hand to left hand? Was that a massive thing, or?
It's I suppose a natural progression in the company. Most of the units are left hand drive, and I think this year I probably have spent more. I've done more miles in Europe than England, so it does make sense. But it was a challenge. It was bizarre. A few of the other drivers have said that I think it's easier to do it now than to spend years in a right hand drive. At least it's still quite fresh. But yeah, it did take a couple of days to adjust.
I can imagine.
On the motorways, it's sort of okay, but it was when you cross roads and roundabouts and just the visibility as well. That's what a lot of people have said is you will notice that you can't see as much. And to be fair, it's a mirror of what I've done in Europe for the past 2 years because I've been in a right hand drive. So every time you come up to a roundabout, you've got less visibility. So it's not too bad. It is just sort of a mirror flip.
That's it.
And yeah, it's okay now. It's clicked, thankfully.
Good. That's it. Getting there now. I mean, obviously being young in the industry, do you get any negativity? Is there a lot of it, or are a lot of people quite supportive of what you do?
I'd say in person, it's more, I guess people are surprised.
Okay.
So especially in Europe, when it's sort of, it might be a new venue, or they might not have worked with a lot of truck drivers, something like that. Then it's just you are still in the minority. But yeah, it's never really negative. I think the worst thing someone said to me, they said, "Oh, I'm surprised you're not a hairdresser."
Really? What a stupid thing to say.
It didn't even really come across as horrible. I don't think they probably meant it bad, but it was just it's like out of everything. Like,
why a hairdresser?
I don't need to be a hairdresser.
I don't want to be a hairdresser. Exactly.
So, but and online, you get the odd comment. I think the most popular is someone says, "Oh, she's never roped and sheeted a load," and it's we use paper maps and she uses SatNav, but it's never you're bad at the job.
No, I think that's a generation thing, unfortunately. The whole map thing. Yeah, well, why would you use a map that's that big rather than a SatNav that's on your screen? It just tells you where to go.
Yeah,
why would you make the job harder?
There's so many things that develop as time goes on.
Yeah,
we don't go up chimneys anymore.
No, exactly.
Things do change.
Things change. It's all about adapting. But I suppose so in that respect, then, and so more. Not that there's a lot, but the more negativity is online rather than in person, then would you say?
Yeah. I think I've had so many people, especially doing sort of the odd general haulage job, just normal people and normal blokes that are so happy to help and don't even make a comment or say, "Oh, you're really good at this for a girl." Nothing like that. It's just well, I'll give you a hand, or you okay with that? Good. Just kind stuff. So it's been really positive.
Obviously, I'll come back onto the career, but something I saw you do is obviously love for motocross, really. Something you do a lot of. Is that a new thing then, or have you done that sort of a lot of your life?
Motorbikes, no.
Yeah.
I never sort of really grew up with bikes.
Okay.
There has been bikes sort of in and out of the family, but I wanted to. It was more for a practical reason. It was cheaper to get a motorbike rather than a car, so I sort of went down that route. And so road bikes has always been a thing, and then I sort of just wanted to expand on that, and I suppose just try a new hobby and try something different, which is where the motocross came in. So it has been fairly recent. I only bought the bike, or my first bike, I think it was 2021. Okay. And I just started going to tracks and just riding around on it. And
seems like you enjoy it.
I do, I do love it. It is good. It's a really good hobby, and definitely doing more road bike stuff, doing the motocross has helped for that. It's given me sort of confidence and just the ability to actually maneuver a bike differently and trust the bike and know what I'm doing. So it's been a really positive thing to do.
Yeah. I mean, do you sort of compete, or is it more a case of just enjoyment? Yeah.
No, people ask me that. I'm not really very competitive as a person. I sort of just not too bothered about doing that. I enjoy I just enjoy going to the track, and I like the physical side of it. It's a very intense fitness thing.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, competing doesn't really interest me.
No, which is good. I mean, it's each their own. I mean, as you say, the main thing there is you enjoy it. You know, after I suppose being sat in a cab, you know, driving around a lot, it's fresh air, you know, enjoy yourself. It's got to be done, you know, you've got to have a bit of an escape from the reality, really, haven't you? So
something else a bit different.
So obviously, you know, it's it's one of those sports where it does look dangerous, but actually you're well within your limits, I guess, aren't you? You know what's right and what's wrong. But
I've had people tell me before, I've said, you know, I'm nervous to go fast, and they said, well, you're only going to go as fast as your hand moves. You're only going to, you know, rev the throttle as much as you want to. So yeah, it's dangerous, but
and if you come off, you learn from your mistakes, I guess.
Definitely.
But if you're within your limits, then you shouldn't hurt yourself too much. But am I right in thinking then that your partner works for the same company as you?
Yes,
is that right?
He does.
And also into motocross, or am I making that up?
That's not really. That's only because I had the bike.
Okay.
And it was sort of, why don't you come to the track with me rather than going on my own? And then it's like, he'd rather ride the bike than stand and watch. So I don't blame him. So that's sort of where it's come from. But
I see.
Yeah, no, he can ride. And it's definitely the job aspect. It's been challenging. It's definitely not easy to manage a relationship. People think, we work for the same company, we're always doing the same jobs. And that's not true. We met on my first tour, and then we didn't really work together sort of for a whole year. Okay. And if he's on a tour and I'm on a tour, and then your schedules don't match up, you then might go say, I've been away from home for a month, but I might not see him for 2 months.
Because you're away when they sort of cross over, if you like.
The worst thing is, obviously, we've got each other on maps, and sometimes we've had it where he might be parked up at a warehouse and I'm driving down like the motorway and I'm like sort of 10 miles away. Brilliant. But I can't do anything because we're trying to get to another destination.
You're in convoy, aren't you?
Exactly,
as well?
Yeah. And it's like, let me just drive off so I can see my boyfriend. And everyone's like, no, the job comes first, which is fair enough. But that's still the worst thing. It's like, you're really close.
What a shame.
Or me and my mum went to Berlin, and he was going there like a couple of days after with a show. And it's like, we couldn't change the dates. He couldn't get there earlier. No. But we've just only just slightly missed each other. Yeah,
what a shame. But I suppose being in the same industry, especially for the same company, you both understand each other.
Yeah, definitely. And that, I think that blows everything out the water, that we know, even things like we know each other's schedules. So I know if he's loading into that venue, it might take a couple of hours and then he'll be asleep because I know that, he's got a big drive. Yeah. The exact same round the other way. So you're not hassling each other.
No, that's it. No, exactly. Because, and I know it happens, sometimes if that other person doesn't understand the job, it's like, why haven't you spoke to me in 8 hours? Well, because I've done that and I've literally slept because I need to be out the next morning.
Yeah, definitely.
That's sometimes where there could be arguments or misunderstandings, where in that, obviously doing what you do, there's just no excuse for that whatsoever, I suppose.
I think as well, obviously it is still a male-dominated industry. Doing this job, I think it perhaps eases his worry that he knows the people I'm with, he knows the job as well, he knows... he understands it, like you say, he gets it, and it's not sort of, you're working with men all the time. Yeah, I know. Yeah. He's not like that at all, but it helps.
Unfortunately, that's the world we live in. It shouldn't matter, at all if you work with other men or other females. It's the job you do. But I suppose it does help. As you say.
Yeah, and I think it's the being looked after thing. I'm not. If I am with the other drivers on a tour, then he knows he could contact them, or it's just sort of, it's nice that we're all sort of all interlinked, really. Yeah,
although you don't see each other a lot, obviously you've still got that connection in the company. So that's good. Really nice sort of dynamic that is. So yeah, absolutely. So obviously you've mentioned, so class one, it wasn't always something that you wanted to do, I guess, until you were sort of driving vans. Yeah. So when you were at Speedy R, you said that was the point that you went, I want to do a class one now, and sort of move on to the next thing. Obviously growing up, was there anything that did you have a slight bit in the back of your mind that you wanted to do driving, or was it just literally just fell into it?
No, not really. I suppose my background's mainly gymnastics. Okay. So that's just sort of what I grew up doing as a hobby. And then once I left school, I did it as an apprenticeship and sort of went into coaching and did that for a while. But then during COVID, that stopped. So it wasn't really a natural progression or anything. It was just, I enjoyed, once I passed my test in a car, and I obviously had my bike as well, just enjoyed being on the road. I didn't, you get people say, I hate driving, I hate sitting on the road, whatever, but I quite like it in that sense. So yeah, from there it sort of led to trucks.
That's what you do. Yeah, exactly. It's always interesting to hear, because some people, I grew up, I've always wanted to be a truck driver, and that's what I've done. But it's nice, it's quite refreshing actually to hear you've just sort of like, that's what you've decided to do, and you've ran with it and you've done really well. So yeah, that's good.
Just a quick message from us, guys. This all wouldn't be possible. The Talkin Shop podcast wouldn't be possible without Eclipse Diagnostics, the company that's made all of this happen, really, haven't they, Aaron? Yep. The leading supplier of Jaltest diagnostics. If you have your own commercial vehicle fleet, or a fleet of machinery, or even boats now as well, vessels, make sure to get in touch with Eclipse Diagnostics for the Jaltest product, the world's #1 diagnostic product for commercial vehicles.
So obviously the company you mentioned is a good company to work for. They're supported of you, which is good. Is there a progression in the company, or do you think that's probably something you want to do for some years?
I suppose naturally in sort of event truck driving, if you've got a big tour with multiple trucks, you will have a lead driver. Yeah. And they are the go-between between production and us. Okay. So we sort of go to them and they make the decisions, like at the venues, they say, we're going to do it in this order, or they'll give us the times. Yeah. So there is that opportunity with sort of experience and knowledge that you could go into taking charge of a few trucks, and it doesn't really mean anything different. You're
still doing the same job, if you like, but you're sort of in charge of a team then, if you like.
Definitely, it's a bit more responsibility, and you sort of make the final call on stuff. But again, it's always a really nice environment when we are on a tour with multiple trucks, because we're all working together all the time. We eat together, or we'll go out and do stuff. So it's not really, oh well, he's in charge, go see the manager. It doesn't feel like that. A lot of the time it can be group decisions or input, but I suppose within the company or within the industry, you can go to be a lead driver.
That's good. And actually that's something that just brought to mind there as well. Obviously the job, if you weren't in a team like that, it could be, and it is, quite lonely. Been on the roads on your own, but obviously as there's a few of you together as sort of a team, I suppose that element is helped, really, isn't it? You've got people to talk to, like I say, have dinner with and go out with after you've finished, and I guess that's a really nice sort of, again, another perk really to the job, isn't it? You're not sat in a cab
not all the
every
time.
night, on your own, which I think drives people on mad a lot of the time.
Yeah, I've done a couple tours on my own, so just sort of one truck was needed, right? And there wasn't the aspect of having another driver, but there was the touring crew, so you'd have the lighting guys and the set guys and all those people, and because it was a lot smaller and smaller venues, they definitely made me feel sort of very welcome, or we're going to go eat, or would you like to come in and watch the show, things like that. So although you've not got the drivers, it's nice that it is definitely a community and you are sort of all pulled together.
That's it. Obviously it's we're obviously filming this in November, and it's mental health awareness month, and I think within the community, there's a lot of. I think a lot more should be done to gel people together like that. Obviously, the company, you do that because of the company, and obviously the people you're surrounded with. But I think if everyone stuck together more and had these sort of events or whatever, then I think there would be less of this sort of, because I get it. If you're in a cab all week on your own, it will drive you mad. Yeah. So I think there should be a lot more done in the industry to basically tackle
definitely.
that. To be honest,
and more just openness. I think that's what a lot of people do struggle with is being able to talk about what it is, and you sometimes get it where I've just bumped into another driver at a warehouse, and it's just sort of barble of talk, and they'll talk and it's like, well, actually, fair enough, because you've probably just driven 4 hours to get here. You might not have rung anyone, you might not have the radio on, anything, and it's I might be the only person that you see for this whole day. And I've had that before when I've sort of done a couple of days on containers, and I get back to the yard in the evening, it's like I've not really spoken to anyone, especially on the general haulage stuff, which is obviously what a lot of truck drivers do. You turn up to the warehouse, they might not even say what bay you want, you just go onto the bay. And that's it.
That's it.
You stay in the cab, they turn the light on when you can go, and you drive off.
Yeah.
And you've not spoken to anyone.
Yeah.
And all of those things, you might have had a bad drive. You might have struggled to get on the bay. Little things that are nothing, obviously then can accumulate. And it is tricky, I suppose, in the industry to. Yeah,
the mind's a powerful thing, and the most smaller events can drive you mad. Yeah. So actually, it's really important to have that team around you, and I think that's a really good thing to have. So good to hear. Obviously, driving in Europe, I suppose driving in this country, is there challenges you come across on a daily basis? Obviously, a lot of your work with events is overnight, so maybe less so, but there will be struggles.
It's like you were saying earlier, you drive overnight and it's quieter, but then you have road closures, or you can't see, or you're tired, which is one of the things you're fighting the most is you just want to sleep.
Yeah.
So definitely pros and cons to that. Not necessarily everyday challenges. I suppose there's a lot of planning that goes into things. So if it's a new venue that I've not been to before, maybe I'm on my own or I'm with somebody else, I'll contact some of the other drivers or some of the older ones that have been there for years. I might say, I'm going to Turin tonight. Yeah. Do you know the venue, or where's the best place to park? Things like that. So definitely planning stuff, sort of, I guess you whittle out those challenges of not knowing what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
But,
I think standard of driving as well, I suppose, was something we found out last year. We went on a little road trip. Standard of driving in the UK is shocking. It is terrible. So actually going to, not all the same, but going to Europe, there is a definite change in driving behaviour. Some is not so good, but a lot of it is a hell of a lot better than what we've got here.
Yeah.
I'm sure you might disagree, but
there's some places I can think of. I mean, Paris is one of them.
Oh gosh.
And it's just horrible. Yeah. It doesn't, and like you said, driving overnight isn't always better. I've left a venue at 1:00 in the morning and the roads are busy. People are chaotic. It's like everyone's just sort of don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And it's like over here, like you say, 1:00 in the morning, and it's really quiet on the roads. So it is different. But again, it depends on what country you're in. I know people have said, don't go to the south of Italy because the drivers are bad. But,
we'll expose that first, and don't you worry. This is a funny thing. We were literally on the motorway. We have 3 cars on the go, and literally, like, you'd be doing. To be honest, I'll probably say this, but we're doing sort of ever so slightly over the speed limit anyway.
Yeah.
And then you still get some family wagon behind you, absolutely, with the kids in the car, literally right behind you, thinking, what? Literally, like, how? And then you move over and they fly off into the distance, like, thinking, is there not speed cameras here then?
No.
Obviously not. No. And no, I know, it would have been nice to know, wouldn't it? But I mean, cut that out. But I find a lot of, I've got to be careful I say it, but a lot of some truck drivers out there, it's literally, there's no sort of mirror signal maneuver, it's just indicator out.
Yeah.
And you're then on your brakes, and then it could get dangerous.
It's a good point.
Yeah.
I think the driving abroad, or the people that maybe have driven abroad and then come here, is partly why the reason over here driving can be a challenge.
Right.
Because you do get sort of sporadic people that think, I can go whatever speed I want on the motorways, or I can get away with doing this, or not indicating, or flashing at people. And you come here, and typically people are courteous and people do understand the roads a bit more. And again, here in the UK, roads are a lot more concentrated. So it's not necessarily busier, but you've got far more space in Europe.
Yep.
You've got wider roads, longer, straighter roads, less junctions. So you get people that come across, or that maybe used to just driving abroad, and they come here and they got off at Dover, and it's like, wow, your driving is not quite.
Well, that's it. There's 2 things here. Like, literally, road quality is like night and day. We go to the French tolls all the way up, beautiful, like, soft roads, and then get off the Channel Tunnel, and literally potholes off the drain.
I suppose so, yeah.
And I suppose, with the tolls as well, it almost is like a breath of fresh air. You cross that crossing there, you get onto the French tolls. It is literally like wow, this is so much nicer.
Yeah. The one way I describe it to people is the M6 toll.
Yeah.
If you do go on that road and people go and think, oh, wow, this is a really nice, quiet road. That is what the whole of Europe is like, really. Or mainland sort of Europe, Germany, France, definitely. And yeah, it's a very good comparison. That's the only bit of the road in the UK that I have found that is pretty much always quiet. And it's calm and it's okay. And then
no one sat in the middle lane doing nothing, dithering.
So that is the only comparison. But yeah, it is different. Like you say, road quality. I'm sure a lot of people would agree with that.
I've never known it so bad than what it is currently, and there's parts of the country that's worse than others. But literally, it was like a shock from going, lovely smooth tarmac to then just part whole city, really.
Yeah, I do have to say, sort of going down like Eastern Europe, sort of Bulgaria and Romania, definitely towards the border. So sort of the south of Romania and the north of Bulgaria. And the roads there are very different.
On the roads?
I don't know.
Is it just potholes, yeah?
Yeah, and it's single tracks.
Oh, wow.
And people will overtake and it's just crazy. So yeah, I can't speak for all of Europe being lovely, right, like road conditions.
Yeah.
But that you do get the odd sections and you think this isn't a road.
This really shouldn't be a road. No. Yeah, exactly. Well, but it takes some getting used to, really, of literally going from country to country. Not only the drivers are different, but also, they say the roads are way different. But you mentioned Paris. I mean, that's something I never want to experience.
No,
I mean, I like Paris, but
I don't want to go back.
Wow. Do you go there a lot, or is that just?
I think I went there 3 times last year.
Yeah.
Just from what shows we were doing.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, because you get all of the artists, they do go to the same city. So I think in Paris there's at least 3 arenas and multiple stadiums. So you've got a bit more choice, but it's still Paris.
Okay.
You will still be going there. So yeah, I've been to, it's getting now that I'm sort of going to a lot of the places I've already done before and going to venues sort of twice or more. So.
That's nice, because once you've been to somewhere, you at least know what to expect next time then, don't you? Rather than, there will be new places, but at least if you've been to somewhere before, you've got a good chance knowing, right, how do I get in there? Who do I need to go and see? And
it's little things as well. I mean, sort of one of the arenas we go to in Berlin, and it's like, oh, we're going to Berlin. You've got a shopping centre across the road and there's a train station and you've got a supermarket or clothes shops. And it's little things like that I suppose give us that thing to look forward to. It's good while we know Berlin might be an easy one to get into for the trucks, but actually it's got a really good laundrette or it's got a really good supermarket, things like that, which are, I suppose, banal or sort of naff things, but are really important.
Makes a difference when you're out on the road.
And when we're away for so long, it's those little things that it's
a luxury. No, I totally get that. But something we experienced when we went away is the service stations in other countries, just nothing like what we've got here. No. Like, again, it depends where you are, isn't it? But definitely France, Italy, sort of southern France, you've got these service stations with fresh foods, proper meals you can have. And over here, you'd be lucky if you could find a KFC and a McDonald's. It's
interesting. It's one that I think I'm sort of the opposite on other people, because a lot of people say, our UK service stations are rubbish, and I understand what they mean. And like you say, in abroad you do get more choice. Yeah, but one of the main things I like is in the UK, you get more ingredients. Okay. Whereas when you go abroad, I've been into service stations in the actual like petrol kiosk, and they'll have crisps or chocolate and like drinks. They don't have, they might have like a few ready-made sandwiches, but they don't have fruit or any sort of, like a bag of pasta or just a bag of carrots, things like that are more ingredients. Right. It's all sort of snacks. Yeah. And even in like the bigger, the airs in France and the ones you get in Germany, you sometimes get like a mini supermarket, but it's not often, which means again all the option you have is like a cooked meal, which is okay and a lot of the time is good.
Interesting perspective. I've not thought about it like that actually.
I think it's just because I prefer to cook, so I have stuff in the truck and I have like ingredients like spices or things like that, bag of pasta, but then I can't always keep fresh stuff in the fridge. And if we've gone, say we've got 4 travel days or we get to the venue and there's nothing nearby, the times that you do stop at the services, I can't really stock up on things like that. I can go and have a plate of chips or you know, a burger or something, whatever it is, but it's not I can't prepare myself for the next days.
Yeah,
I can only ever eat what they're offering me, which again just costs more money.
Yeah.
So
you're right. In fact,
I don't know. It might just be me.
No, that's something actually that I haven't thought about. Yeah, actually, that you can't. Yeah, if you want to be able to do meals yourself, then actually you haven't got as much choice when you haven't got physical shops you can buy stuff from.
Do you actually cook in the truck?
Yeah,
I do.
Right, how do you do that?
I have just a normal camping gas hob.
Yeah.
And I have like a sort of a plastic tub with a saucepan in it and a frying pan and a bowl and things like that. And then, even if it's just pasta, it means that, say, like, I think one of the things with driving overnight is I do struggle with food because it will get to sort of 2-3 in the morning and you don't know if you want something to eat, don't know if you're hungry, but at least I can heat up some milk and have like a coffee or just something, you know, I don't need to get out of the truck and go and buy something or the shops are closed, whatever it is. So, or like, I could heat up a bagel in the morning. It's just having the option to cook. I'm not doing a roast dinner.
No, that's it. You know what? There's there's someone on TikTok that I've watched.
I think it's Luke. It's like a Luke.
Yeah.
I think it's his name.
Literally, he's got everything in there. He's got an inverter. He's got like an air fryer
and 2 steering wheels.
Yeah, that's it. I know. I think that would be me as a trucker.
All kitted out. Yeah.
But because sometimes the thought of going to get something is actually you think, I'll just carry on for a bit. I'll keep driving for a bit, you know. But actually, when you've got stuff in your cab, actually, it's a good excuse to stop and
or even like preparing stuff. So say we've stopped up for the evening and I'll have pasta. I'll do extra and then I've got something in the fridge for the next day.
Yeah.
I don't need to. It's definitely a money thing. I don't need to go buy something.
No, that's it. Yeah, exactly.
It's convenient. It's better.
Well, it does all add up as well, really, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But have you obviously? I guess you've got to be careful here. But is there a job that you've done in the past that you've thought that didn't go too well, or is there a certain location that comes through and you think? Can't do that. I can't do that, but Paris again. Yeah, that's it. It's got a bit of a reputation, isn't it?
Yeah, I did the Royal Opera House in London a few months ago, and it was fantastic.
Yeah.
And the guys that worked there and the girls, really lovely people. And it was an amazing venue, but there was 5 of us that had to go in. So, and it's only one bay, you reverse in, and it goes up in a lift. So only one at a time, and it's behind Covent Garden. So the main thing, I suppose, at a normal venue is that we have parking or we've got areas. So you'll have the trucks there and you'll get called over. Whereas we're in central London, it's like we don't know, we can't go anywhere to wait. So you end up being called in later. So central London obviously has its challenges, but it's not impossible. No. I think the benefit again of what we do is we get support from like the venue. They had traffic control, so we were able to get the trucks in, and the venues that we work with, they're used to it and they know that we're providing a service and they're going to get thousands of people come to watch the show because of the stuff that we've got to bring it in. So it's usually accommodating. That can't think of
it's not as if you're on your own arriving in London thinking, where am I supposed to stop here? Where can I? I need to blindside park in here now or whatever. At least, you're in a team. They've probably shut a little bit of space to be able to accommodate for you. So.
And it's like everything. You just plan it.
Yeah, it's all to do with planning. Yeah, all to do with planning. Something I don't do too well. I mean, how do you sort of prepare for each job then? So obviously you've got a team that sort of plans your route. Are you sort of? You said you've got a team leader. Not necessarily. Okay.
So we'll get given, so I did a job at the weekend and we was told, you need to go to London and they're going to fill up the trailer and then you're going to go to Plymouth.
Okay.
And we had parking down in Plymouth ready to go into the theatre. So it was a case of you need to be at the warehouse at 4 p.m, but I can choose how I get into London. Or I can choose, I know what time I need to leave. So when it comes to going across countries, that would be like the job of the lead driver. They'll say, right, we're going to this venue. This is the best road to go on. It's more miles or whatever it is. They'll give us a route, and that is something that we do then tend to follow because we're in some sort of convoy, and they're telling us to do that from experience. It's not like we'll
just try this route.
Yeah.
Instead.
So it's we do get the freedom for that, which is good.
That's good because there'd be certain areas where through experience you think, don't want to go there. I need to avoid that way.
Yeah,
well,
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, even a case of like knowing like Park Royal, I've done a couple sort of music equipment warehouses throughout Park Royal, and I know this is the best way to go in. Even though the sat-nav might not agree, I know, you know,
Sat-navs
just
are never right.
no, but that's, I suppose, just comes with knowledge of areas.
Yeah.
So yeah, when it's somewhere new, you're just going in blind.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, absolutely. But I've seen you, obviously, you've got to use sat-nav, don't you? The TomTom, which looks pretty good. Some
I
sat-navs are
think
better
it's
than
fine.
others. Yeah. I saw one comment it was like, Garmin's better.
Yeah.
Well, it might be for you, but that's that I do the job and I like it. So yeah.
There's people saying, "Oh, why don't you try this?" It's like, well, because this one works.
Yeah.
I've just spent 350 quid on it.
That's it.
I could try some others if you want to send it to me and I'll review it. But
It's that old argument of like iPhone and Android, isn't it?
Yeah,
if that's what you've used, then you're naturally going to always use it.
Yeah.
But actually, you know, they all have their sort of
it's
pros
just
and cons, don't
personal
they?
opinion.
Yeah, of course
just
it is.
Comes down to everything.
I think it's a really good idea where you can enter these days, you like your sort of dimensions, your heights, your weights in there. So you know that you've got the security of if I mess up, if I go the wrong way, it technically won't let me go through anywhere I shouldn't be.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I do rave about that.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's just security. But again, why would you want to bring up a big map in front of you? You know, those days have gone.
No.
The technology moves on for a reason. But yeah, good question here, I suppose. So obviously doing the journeys you do you have to sort of double drive sometimes to be able to sort of make that destination?
Quite often, really.
Yeah.
It depends. Well, it depends on how long we have to get there. So the show dates can't be altered. So if it takes longer than we have the ability to drive, then we'll have a double driver come in. And I thought that the video that I did on it was quite good because a lot of people do say, oh, well, where do they sleep and how's that work?
Yeah.
And do you not find that weird? And again, I'm very thankful that I've had the same double driver. It was sort of his first job and my first tour.
Okay.
So it was new for him and we just clicked. We get on so well.
Good.
And hopefully he should be coming to the company sort of next season and working, you know, with us as a driver. So that's good. So yeah, it's double driving is interesting. It's just to get the job done, really.
That's it, get the job done, but also it's good to have a bit of a chat with someone, isn't it? And you know, sort of, you know.
And going back to like what we said earlier, it's a really good boost. So on one of the longest tours I did this year, my family came out to Paris and then they went and I thought, I've still got like a month on this tour. And then I thought, actually, no, I've got Jack coming out in 2 weeks and we've got a double drive. And that was actually a really good boost to something to look forward to because I know, you sometimes sit there for 4 hours and you think, right, shut up.
Yeah,
we've spoken enough.
Now. I've got a headache.
Yeah, but actually there's so many times where we've talked about everything under the sun and it has been so good. Even just the job or just, you know, obviously just life in general.
It's just positivity, isn't it, as well? It just gets you through.
And
but
we have a laugh.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether it's just, you know, me and him, we get on and we click. But yeah, I think sometimes people don't always get on and that can be challenging then because you're stuck with a stranger that you don't know and they're driving your truck. Yeah. And that's the worst part.
That's it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You can't do anything.
Not only could they bore you to death, but they're actually, you know, damaging your truck as well. Yeah. So that's a really nice sort of hopefully then again, it happens for you this year, the same person.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. Yeah. And I'd like obviously to just get on with anyone.
Yeah, sure. And then you get to your destination and it feels like it's, you know, it's sort of within a second you're there really, where, you know, it could be a lot more difficult, could feel like a sort of age since you
it does. It can be harder because you think, oh wow, we're actually here and we've travelled through 3 countries today. But it's got its benefits.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, a lot of the job there, obviously going from continent. So, will he do sort of? Does the company prefer to go Eurotunnel, or does it go ferries over from England to?
We always get the ferry.
Yeah,
I've done the train once this year, and it was okay. I think the train is slightly more expensive.
Okay.
I don't know if that's the reason.
Right.
I also think that there's more options for damage going on the train, and with the amount of trucks that we sometimes might be going across with, it makes more sense to go on the ferries.
Yeah.
And you get off, you get some food. It's more pleasant than the train.
Sure. Yeah. So, again, on the train, you've sat in the cab, aren't you? I suppose.
In the trucks, you have to get out.
Do you?
Yeah.
Right then, I've learned something new today.
But it's not as extravagant as it sounds. It's like it then turns into a normal train and you're sat there and you can't do anything. So yeah, the ferries are
I suppose quite nice. You've got on the do you do sort of the overnight ferries then, or is it just
I've done a few when it's been sort of when you're going from a different place. So like Cairn to Portsmouth.
Yeah.
That's an overnight one, or you can do it overnight. The Hook of Holland to Harwich up in Norfolk, that's longer.
Okay.
But the Dover to Calais one is about 2 hours.
Yeah,
so
it's nothing too much, is it?
No,
But,
it's
yeah,
easy.
we're looking at doing the same thing as we did last year, but the Harwich one looks a good ferry, because you can, especially if you're on the road all the time, you can sort of then take the weight off for a bit, and you've got, well, if you're overnight, you sleep. If not, you've got food and places you can walk around and whatever. It's not quite sat on a train for
no.
an hour,
And I think
is
as well, you find in the truckers' lounge on the ferries, people, you might see a familiar face, or you might have left the company, but some of your old colleagues are there or something. So, or there might be another touring company going out to Europe. So I think that is, like what we said earlier, it's another opportunity to chat.
Yeah.
And you don't necessarily get that on the train because it is so short. Where the ferry, you sit down, have some food with somebody else. There's just more opportunity to talk to people.
Yeah, of course there is. Of course there is. And again, it's all experience, isn't it? And you might learn something that
of course.
That
Or talk about your route. I'm heading down to Paris. Yeah. Oh, well, this is the best way to go.
Avoid that road.
Yeah, there's a road closure.
Go right through the centre of Paris.
Tractors.
So, obviously, a big question here is sort of what advice would you give to young people who either have just got into the industry or actually something they're thinking about doing soon? Biggest bit of advice that you'd give to them?
Obviously, just give it a go. I think, like you said, it doesn't have to be a lifelong dream. It doesn't have to be, obviously it's a big investment and it is a lot to undertake to try and get your license and obviously then find a job. And you have to do it for a couple of years to give it a go. But I do think you can sort of dip into it. You can try. If you want to try driving a lorry, put in the effort and, have those aspirations and just give it a go. It doesn't need to be, I get a lot of people that do say, I've been doing this years and you've just come into it and you've not grown up with lorry drivers. And it's like, well, yeah, but I don't need to, nobody in my family drives lorries. It's not a requirement to be one yourself. So I think, just give it a go and be open-minded as well, because there's so many different avenues that come underneath truck driving. And you don't know what sort of path you're going to go down or where you might want to go. I mean, I wanted to do machine haulage and it's something completely different. But just be open-minded and see where it goes.
That's it. So that's nice, because obviously there's probably not enough younger people going into the industry these days.
No.
So obviously with, I think yourself being a good example for the industry, really.
Thank
obviously
you.
with the social media, and I think I guess the knowledge and the experience you can share can only help people's decisions, can't it? Really? Yeah.
I mean, I really try not to teach people. I try and sort of actively say, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not saying this is how you should do it. But I'm just shining a light on how it can be done, or that it's not actually that challenging to do certain things. Or
it could be quite daunting to somebody.
Of course, and I think that's the thing as well, is that when I came into it, I didn't know anyone. I knew my instructor from sitting in a lorry with him, but I didn't know anyone. I didn't know where to go for a career. I didn't know what to do. So, and I don't think I really saw that many people online, and that was only a couple of years ago. And also, I suppose just sort of average people saying, well, you can do this. It's not, it's nothing special. You can just give it a go. So I suppose that's...
So say social media is probably a good thing for the industry now.
I think really. So, People do disagree with that. I think older drivers, they don't like it. They've said to me, oh, well, I didn't have anyone help me when I started. And it's like, no... But you can help people.
That's it. Why wouldn't you want to?
It's just sort of showing the industry in a new light, really. And
for yourself as well, it's a nice thing on the side that you can do to sort of, it helps others, but also helps yourself, really. It gives you something else to focus on when you finish driving.
I mean,
editing a video.
That's the reason I started doing it. Is I really like the editing part of it, and I don't, the filming is fine, but I like putting it together. I like sort of doing all the cuts and putting it up. So that's what I enjoy. And like you say, but then I couldn't do that stuff without the job. So it does go hand in hand. And sometimes, I can't film this. There's too much going on, or it's too important, or I'm not allowed, and that sort of takes a back seat. But I try and film what I can. And
do you think YouTube is ever a avenue you want to go down?
People ask me this.
Yeah.
The problem is, it has taken a lot to do the TikTok. It's a sort of a lot of time that goes into it, and I don't know if it's, I can't work it out, but if I post on YouTube, I have to film everything landscape. If I post on TikTok, it could be portrait.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And there's a lot of stuff that I can't film twice. I don't have, 2 devices to film 2 lots of stuff. So that's the main concern is, I could post stuff on YouTube and I could post the same videos, but the layout for the content doesn't work.
So TikTok would have to take either a hit in sort of amount of uploads to be able to do the YouTube sort of thing. So,
and I try and post twice a week on TikTok, and that's a lot. Like I say, people say, I wish you'd post more. So I'm working.
So let's not forget you're working it.
Yeah, I'm doing my job. So it's I think YouTube, it's something I think about, but
never say never.
Yeah, of course.
But
it's going well, and it's enough to keep me going.
Absolutely.
I'm busy with it, so yeah, we'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Good stuff. So yes, thank you for coming down and speaking to us. Obviously, we'll make sure your TikTok, Instagram is in the bio.
Okay.
But that's great. So if you've enjoyed watching this episode of Talkin Shop, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video.